Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. This is Carla from Rayhan Alawalla's World of Connections. And I am here tonight to talk to Carmen Ventrucci. It may need a Peterson at the end, but she tells me Ventrucci is fine enough. And we're going to talk about her work, her life, her work, and her passions. And I look forward to getting to know her because she is a coach, and anyone can coach someone to be a better person. Not anyone can, but some people are really good at it. Having said that, I want to remind everyone that this show is sponsored by Institute of Peace, which is an online organization promoting peace one conversation at a time. Carmen, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Carla. So happy to be here. My name is Carmen Ventrucci. I am a leadership and lifestyle coach. My clients make bank, they make more money because they become the leader that their business needs. You don't have to be you don't have to be in business for yourself or own a business to be the leader your business needs. We are all leaders. Some of us just get better results than others. So I love working with clients. I love talking about all things leadership. And the key to my success, I'm just going to give away my secret right now. The key to my success is really working on my clients' mindset with them. We go in, we dive deep, and we identify what identity they have as a leader and make the appropriate changes to that identity so that they can step into their leadership and be the leader they are meant to be.
Wonderful. Now we were talking about your life before before you told me you had 6 kids.
I do have 6 kids.
Kids. And by the way, what was your city that you're from?
I'm from Mendota Heights, Minnesota. I am just outside St. Paul, Minnesota.
How do you spell Mendota?
Mendota.
Say, I'm sorry,
Mendota. Mend, D as in dog, O, T as in Tom, A.
Okay, thank you. Heights, right?
Yeah, you are right.
Okay, go on and let's get back to your life.
All right. So, as Carla said, I have 6 awesome kids. They are quite young. They are between the ages of 4 and 11. 4 of them are mine and my husband's. We have our oldest daughter is 8. We have twin boys who are 6, and our youngest daughter is 4. Our 2 oldest kids are actually our nieces, and they've been living with us for about almost 2.5 years now. And pretty soon, as soon as like some T's are dotted or T's are crossed and I's are dotted, excuse me, some paperwork is through, we will officially become their legal guardians. So they will officially be our kids, even though they are already family. They're our nieces. It's going to be wonderful to have that be like recognized by everybody in both a legal capacity and like a mental capacity too. It's just a little bit of a mindset tweak when people realize that they are with you for the long haul. So we are extremely excited that they are with us. I learn more from them than they learn from me, I'm sure. And they are just all around awesome kids, all 6 of them. And some days are awesome. And some days there's a lot of wrestling going on and a lot of fighting and a lot of kids being kids. But Carla, I'm actually speaking to you from a camper or an RV in my driveway right now. And so my family, why an RV? That's a very good question. My family has opted to take the distance learning option for school this year. And we are going to travel the country for 9 months with all 8 of us and the dog in this camper. So we just picked it up this weekend. We rented out our house. We're getting rid of and see the US, see the country for 9 months while we are still learning, while we are still working. And it's really a great way to take advantage of this opportunity that the world has given us. And it's a great way for us to bond as a new family of 8 and celebrate our nieces. Wait, what would they be? We being the legal guardians to our nieces. I don't know what they would be called. I don't know. So that is what we are doing. And so that's one thing I coach a lot of people on is like, are you living the life you love? Yes. Awesome. No. What do we need to change? What do we need to do to get you to that life you love and living the lifestyle you love? So we are super excited. We're leaving shortly. Mount Rushmore in South Dakota is our first stop.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And will you stay in the camper the whole trip, or?
Yes, there'll probably be a hotel night every now and then. And we actually have quite a few friends across the country, so we might stay at a friend's house every now and then, and take advantage of their hospitality, maybe use their washer and dryer, and just say hi to a lot of people we really love and care about.
Will you come to Washington, D.C. at all?
Actually, we are. We're not doing the tourist stuff in Washington, D.C., not this trip.
Yay.
We have some good friends. Yeah, we have some good friends in Baltimore. So just a little bit north of you guys in Washington, D.C. So we are going just around Washington. We're towing a big camper. We're trying to avoid the really big cities as far as going into it. We will be in your area.
You should come and see the museums.
Yes.
You don't have to do a lot of touristy things, but some of the museums are absolutely amazing.
Yes, I you know what? I think I'm gonna have to research that. We're gonna have to add that to the list. We'll be right there. We might as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying do all the tourist things.
No.
Because I think there's a lot of stuff that's not tourist. That's more interesting. The museums are totally awesome. So, how do you help someone find their passion?
How do I help someone find their passion? That is such a good question. One of the best ways, okay, this is going to sound very counterintuitive. Just stick with me for a minute. One of the best ways to find out what you're passionate about is to start saying no to things. Instead of saying yes to everything, start saying no to things. By saying no to things, it does a couple things for you. Number one, getting things off your plate or that you really don't have to do or you really don't care about, that's the key to true time freedom right there. So you need to have the clarity on what is important to you and what you like and what you don't like. So you can start saying no to the right things and then start saying yes to the things that matter. So that's number one. It gets things off your plate. It's the key to true time freedom. Also, saying no to things allows you to focus on what you care about. And it allows you to experiment a little bit and try something. Part of finding your passion is finding a couple of duds along the way, right? And so it allows you that time and that experience to go out, try things, and then really focus in on what you like and what you don't like, do more of what you like. Passion, it can be a loaded word. So if people say, go find your passion, a lot of people immediately think like, okay, I have to be really passionate about a good cause. I have to go, I'm going to make something up. I have to go like save the whales. And I have to, go save the forest and save the rainforest and do all these really good causes. A passion can be a lot teaching. You can have passion for sales. You can have passion for pretty much anything. It doesn't have to be this grand vision. You are probably doing something every day that you are passionate about. Like me, I love talking about mindset. I've been talking about mindset all day today. Another passion I have right now, I'm doing Taekwondo. I'm going to be a black belt. I'm going to test for my black belt in December, even though we are going to be on the road. And so like, go do something. Just go try something new. You never know if you're going to like it until you try it. And your passion, like I said, your passion does not have to be this grand like mission. It can be something simple. Like my passion, if when you break it down, that's what you're doing. It can be something very simple.
Okay, you deal with people who come to you and say, hey, do they say to you, hey, Carmen, I have no idea what my passion is. How do I find it? Help me get there. I have people who say that to me every day on the English show, and I'm like, oh, really? Let's figure this out. So help me help people.
That's a really response to that is when people come to me, because I do get this often. I'm not sure what I'm passionate about. My response is to ask them a lot of questions and have a conversation. And when I'm listening in the conversation, I'm not necessarily listening with my ears. I'm listening with my eyes and with my, I don't know, my other senses to sense what emotion they're giving off. Because a lot of your communication, it's what is it? Only 7% the words you choose. The other 93% is the tone of voice, your facial expressions, your body language, etc. And so that's really what I'm listening for. And when I hear or perceive that excitement in their voice, when I perceive that their posture is a lot more perky, we'll just call it perky, you can tell they're a lot more excited about what they're talking about. That's when I start probing and asking them more questions. And they're sometimes like, you keep asking me the same question, like, but you keep giving me a different answer, because they might be saying the same things, but their body language is different, or the tone of their voice is different. And so I ask a lot of questions, and it starts with, what do you like? What do you not like? What pleases you? What displeases you? And as far as the things that you don't like, I just ask that to kind of put it on the list and categorize it and just shove it aside. What you focus on expands. And so I just want to kind of acknowledge it and then push it out of the way, so I know to ask the opposite. Does that make sense? Because I don't want to keep asking you about what you don't like and keep drilling into that, because if you don't like it, we're not going to focus on it. I might ask why or how come you don't like it, and then I'll drop it. And so when people come to me, because I do get this question quite frequently, I'm not sure what I'm passionate about. And we usually end up at the end of a conversation like, okay, from what you're telling me, you really love sales, or you really have a passion around numbers. How can we monetize that? Or how can we find where you need to be so you can be a leader in that area of your passion?
Do you find that more people are coming to you since this COVID thing started, and people are at the point, I need to do something on my own now? I need to. What are you finding?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the blessings about COVID is that it's really forcing people to reevaluate what they're doing for a living, whether it's because it's finally like they don't have a job anymore, or whether it's because, hey, I'm working from home and I have this whole new perspective, or they just have a whole new perspective due to the situation. It's really forcing people to ask themselves, do I like what I'm doing? And so, yes, I have seen an increase of people coming to me because they're starting to really examine their why and the reason for doing what they're doing. Some people are in professions because they pay well, and that's awesome. Some people are in professions because they really love what they're doing, and that's awesome. This is a chance for all of us to sit back and really think about it. So I went through this about a year ago. On June 4th, 2019, I actually left my corporate job and started my own company. I call it my corporate dropout date because I'm snarky like that. And what happened for me is I had an event in my family. I have a sister who had a massive stroke in March of last year. And before her stroke, I had a lot of other events occur. Like my niece is coming to live with me was another one that was forcing me to reevaluate. Do I love this life I'm living right now? Like, is there anything I want to change? Is there any major shifts I want to make? Am I loving my lifestyle right now? And the answer was no. I had a lot of wonderful things going on in my life. And the one thing that was really getting in my way and causing me unfulfillment was working for somebody else. I really wanted to embrace entrepreneurship. And it's like I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. That's what people are doing right now with COVID. They're figuring out what they want to be when they grow up. And so I left, and my sister's stroke was the final kick in the tush that I needed to get moving. And so I already had a plan in place. I accelerated my plan by 7 months so I could leave my job. I resigned from my job and start my own business. And so I know exactly what people are going through. Like I had that feeling of unfulfillment. And here's the main question I asked myself when I was thinking about, okay, do I leave, do I stay or do I go? I was asking myself, if nothing changes in 1 year, will I be happy? If I'm doing well at my job, I am a wonderful employee. I do good work. I could stay here, or I could go embrace this other thing over here. And I said, if I stay here, I will be unfulfilled. I will be bored. And I'm going to start resenting people who I work with who actually are very good people. And I did not want to be there. And so I made the decision to leave. And that was really the shift in my mindset and my thinking that encouraged me to go take that huge leap and start my own business.
What kind of work were you doing, if you don't mind my asking?
No, not at all. So when I left, I was working for a large company here in Minnesota. They make all sorts of cleaning chemicals, and they're a wonderful, wonderful company. I was a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's basically a continuous improvement methodology. So it was my job to take on projects that were cost saving. So we would drive cost out of process. We would drive cost out of, whether it's a manufacturing process or like a business process, we would drive out cost. And what the part of my job I just loved, I got to coach coworkers. So I was a black, it mimics the martial art belt system. I was a black belt, and then there was other people who were green belts. I got to coach or their sectors, and that was the most fun I've ever had working. It was just a blast because you get to nurture this person, you get to help them figure it out, and you get to sit there and you get to watch it like get stuck and then get unstuck and then they get stuck and then they get unstuck again. And that was the part I loved. And so that's really that job made me realize, I might be a really good coach and mentor. I should look into that. Maybe there's something here. That's kind of how I found my passion. I fell into it.
Do you think most people fall into their passion?
It was just based, it's because I said yes to something and said no to other things that I fell.
Now, do you think you seem to be, am I losing you a little on your internet?
I think some do. I think some of us have maybe fallen into it and we haven't been paying attention. We haven't really said that, oh, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or this, I would be really good at this.
I know I fell into what I'm doing completely. It wasn't something I had expected or
hey, Carla,
thought
can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Your internet is
Mm-hmm.
slow.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me easily?
Mm-hmm.
Can you, or yes or no?
Not good. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, let's hope it continues to work because I've seen you get real slow and then you're normal. Many people have trouble figuring out what their passion is. And I know for me, my mindset just really took off in a really positive way, just very recently, actually. How do you coach people when it comes to mindset? Because people don't realize, one of the things that I began to realize, I would say, I want this, but I don't have it now. And that but canceled things,
Yes.
canceled the positive. How do you help people get away from the word but, from the word not, I do not have?
I love this question. So communication is so key, especially the way you communicate with yourself and your unconscious mind. And so instead of the word but, I use the word and, A-N-D. For example, it's raining outside and it's still nice out. And it's nice out. Or to my husband, honey, I love you and you need to start unloading the dishwasher. Instead of, honey, I love you, but you need to start
You're
unloading the dishwasher. It just negates the whole I love you part. And so replace but with and. So you could say, I really want this and I don't have it yet. Because then you're setting up your mind for success, saying, I don't have it yet, I can still get it. Now, with the word not, N-O-T, this is really important too, because the word, your unconscious mind ignores the word not, yet pays attention to everything around it in the sentence. So, fly. Right now in your mind, you have a blue butterfly in your head, even though I told you not to think about it. And so tell yourself the opposite. Instead of saying, I don't want to be fat, say, I want to be healthy. So tell yourself the opposite. Be very specific in what you want to do. This is really good with kids. If you guys are parents and you have children, instead of don't run, like if they're running by a pool, don't run. You just told them to run. Instead, tell them what you want to do. Say, slow down and walk. And then you're eliciting, there's a better chance they're going to comply and you're going to elicit the response you want. Now it's the same thing when you're talking to yourself in your mind. So if you say, let's say there's a certain car. I'm just going to make an example of a certain car. Like, oh, I don't have that car. I don't have that car. All you can think about is not having that car. If you just rephrase it as I don't have that car yet, you're opening up your mind to think of possibilities and opportunities of how you can get that car. So let's say, here's another example. If you're so concerned about not having money, like I have no money in my checking account, and you're constantly on the computer checking your balance, and you're reminding yourself that there's no money in your checking account, you're focusing on the fact that you don't have money, and you're going to miss opportunities to make money. You're going to miss seeing and capturing opportunity to make money. And so that's one of the, like that's simple. Those two simple word changes will do volumes of good for you if you can change out those two words. So change out but for and just eliminate not, go after what you really want instead.
What you say is very interesting, because I have noticed in my own life, when I stop, I don't use the word and, but I stop saying I do not have, or I'm working on it. There's a technique of cancel, clear, delete. You cancel the statement, you clear it out, and you delete it. And when you do that, it changes the whole mindset.
It does.
But people don't seem to understand what mindset is about. And that, I'd like you to kind of define it a little more clearly.
Absolutely.
So know what we're talking about.
Yes. So mindset is one of those words that's just like thrown around everywhere right now. Like everybody is suddenly mindset, 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 mindset. Your mindset is a combination of a lot of things. Your mindset is essentially your attitude towards the world. and you form this attitude towards the world based on your thoughts, on your emotions, on people who have influenced you, on your actions, and your perceptions. Okay, so a lot of this goes into your mindset. And the key about mindset is that so you have your conscious brain and your unconscious brain. Your conscious brain is the logical side of your brain. So decisions that you are consciously making, you are aware of. That's only 4% of your brain. The other 96% is your unconscious mind and lives. And so you think you're logical, your unconscious mind is in charge and really running the show. They're in the driver's seat.
It's very strange. Your internet gets very slow at times and almost totally breaks.
And so through life, like, I used to be 10 years old, so I used to have the identity as a 10-year-old girl. Right? That used to be my identity. Right now, I am a mother. That's part of my identity. That wasn't always the case. And so you form this identity, and that identity, it can either make or break you. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Is your internet okay now? Because you kind of
Oh,
breaking up.
I'm
But
sorry. I'm unsure.
I hope she's coming back. She really is very interesting. And we're talking about mindset because mindset is how we think and how we do things. And we do things because either we are interested in them or we aren't. But if we have a positive mindset, we move forward. Are you back?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You seem to
Oh,
go
wonderful.
in and out at times. Oh,
I know it's on my end, so forgive me. I actually saw the internet company repair truck, driving around today and yesterday fixing stuff. So I know we are having some issues. Please forgive me for that.
well, that's not your fault. You can't do anything about that.
You deal with what emerges. You deal with what emerges.
Right. And people need to
Mhm.
learn to be more flexible depending on
Mhm.
what happens.
Yes, absolutely. So forgive me. I'm not sure what was the last thing you guys heard me say.
We were talking about mindset and
Hmm.
mindset, the importance of it. If
Hmm.
someone thinks they cannot do something, they're not going
Hmm.
to do it.
Hmm.
If you believe you are capable of doing it,
Hmm.
then you can do it and you can
Exactly.
move forward.
Exactly. So by telling yourself you're not capable of doing something, essentially you are creating an identity about yourself in your mindset, and you will not do it. So your mindset, your brain only likes to do actions that comply with that identity. And so, for example, I'm a non-smoker. I did not go to the gas station and buy cigarettes today because that action would be incongruent with my identity as a non-smoker. And so if you want to make changes, and forgive me if you heard this twice, I think I said this before. If you're fat and you want to lose weight and be healthy, you have to take on the identity. What would a healthy person do? Would a healthy person have a second piece of pie? Or would a healthy person just have a couple bites and enjoy it and then move on to something healthier? So you have to have that identity of what you want to become before you become it. That is the key to success there. And that is the key to mindset. You have to have that identity before you become it. You have to take the action that that person or thing would do.
How do you help your clients change their mindset to, I want to do this? Not only I want to do this, but I can do it, and I will do it.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great question. Like to get a little bit technical, I'm an NLP master practitioner. And so when I work with clients one-on-one, we discuss, where did your mindset come from? And we do some deep inner work and we say, okay, is this from an influencer? Like your mom or your dad? Like our moms, okay, so our parents are wonderful people. I love my parents. They're awesome. Yet they are human and they have their own things to deal with. And they, as my primary caregivers, especially between the ages of 0 and 7, when our personalities really form, they influence me both negatively and positively. And so we can go in, we can do work on what did our parents give us? What did our ex-business partners give us? What did our ex-husbands, wives, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends give us? We can also do work on, all right, our negative emotions. Okay, so emotions get a really, really bad reputation because at least in the corporate world, especially as a female, I felt that I was supposed to be no emotion. I was supposed to be a robot, not get happy, not get sad, nothing, robot. And so emotions get a really bad rap. They get a really bad reputation. All emotions are, even the negative ones like anger and fear and sadness and grief, it's feedback. That's all your emotions are. It's feedback. It's your unconscious mind telling you something. And so when I work with clients, I help them hold a safe space so they can adequately process these emotions and they can actually feel them. And sometimes just feeling your emotion gives you permission to move on. And so the work I do with my clients, it's a lot of one-on-one work. Everyone's needs are a little bit different. Everyone has a little different identity. Everybody has a different goal, but it's a lot of one-on-one work.
And it's that one-on-one work, not only with the therapist, as I would call you, but also for the person to do. The person needs to want to make that change.
Yes, absolutely. You are 100% right. If they want to stay stuck, there's probably a reason why they want to stay stuck. There's some other purpose that's serving, and they have to be ready to process it.
Do you find that most of your clients are ready to make that move?
Yes and no. So here's what I find. They know they need to do it. They will still provide resistance along the way. Yet they have raised their hand and said, I know I need to do this. And they will fight along the way. So one of the rules of sales is people will fight like hell to stay in their comfort zone. Whatever, good or bad, they're already in a comfort zone when they come to me. And so they do, even though they know they want to get out, they want to push the limits on the comfort zone, they still fight like hell to stay within it. And it's my job to help guide them through that and to help challenge the limits and the barriers of their comfort zone a little bit. And so I do challenge them, and I'll hold your hand while I do it, and I do challenge them.
And what do you see your clients doing for the most part?
What do I see them doing for what?
How do you see your clients moving forward?
Oh my gosh. One of my favorite ones is when clients are able to set their personal boundaries. So I have a client who who works in a company that her dad has. And so she works for her dad essentially. And her dad would push her around a little bit professionally. One day, she decided, after doing some work, she decided she had enough, and I don't know the exact word she said, but she hung up the phone on her dad. She set a boundary right then and there by hanging up the phone on her dad. And for her, she was just like, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. Like, I'm really glad you did. It's not because you're being rude, it's because you're taking care of yourself. And so that's just one example. I mean, people are able to set personal boundaries much easier than they were before.
I'll give you an example of something I experienced today. I have a lady from Vietnam who has been coming to the English show in England. And she's great, don't get me wrong. And she said to me, she finally decided, she registered for the Speak English course. And I'm like, you really belong in Mindpoor. Your English is at a point where you can add something to Mindpoor. I look at the questions you ask, for me to ask the panelists, and you do a great job. I don't understand why you want to do the English class. You'll get more out of this. And she said, but I can't talk. And I didn't look at her. This was definitely an audio call. And I said, no, you need to come. And I said, think about it. Either you can do the English class for a month and then come to Mindpoor, or you can jump into it right away. She came to the English show today. And I actually had her leading a 15-year-old girl who came to the English show into feeling more comfortable, because I said, if you need to talk to her in Vietnamese, that's fine, but she needs to answer in English. And all of a sudden, we were getting good answers from her because she understood what was being said, and she was talking English. And I looked at the lady and I said, look at what you have developed. And she said, yeah, I did it. And I said, yeah, you did it. And she was like, I need to think about it. And I said, yeah. But realize you can do it. Now, that was a whole change in mindset.
Absolutely.
What would you have suggested that I could have moved her even quicker? Or did I move her quick enough?
No, I think you did a wonderful job. So this is exactly what you did. She was having a little bit of imposter syndrome. Yes?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of imposter syndrome. So the fear of being a fraud, essentially. And what you did, you gave her encouragement. You reminded her that she's probably done something like this before. Maybe it wasn't directly, speaking English, yet she's overcome some obstacle before. And you reminded her that perfectionism is not necessary. There was no need to be perfect on this call, just the need to show up and take action and practice. And so what you did is you reminded her of credentials she already had, reminded her of it was a very simple mission she had to accomplish on this show, and you gave her the encouragement she needed. You gave her an atta girl, is essentially what you did. So you did perfect. Because those are the ways you get out of imposter syndrome. You remind yourself that you do know what you're talking about. You remind yourself you can still know what you're doing without being an expert. And you remind yourself that done is better than perfect.
And my thoughts are that everyone needs to take action, and everyone makes mistakes. I make big mistakes. I don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen, but I was late for the show. A lot of weird things were happening throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole day and all my live streams. This is the first smooth one today. And yet it's had many issues too.
Yes, I
But
disappear. My internet doesn't work. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sometimes you just have to roll with it. If it doesn't go perfectly, oh well, that's okay.
right. And that's what people need to realize.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if you're perfect? It's not
Mm-hmm.
a question of perfection. It's a
Mm-hmm.
question of taking action.
Exactly. Exactly. And so one of my taglines for my business is mindset, action, passion, and I have it in that order for a specific reason. I am all about taking action. I want a little bit of mindset and intention before I just go and do something though. So just like with your example you gave with the Vietnamese lady, her mindset just had to be a little bit of tweaking before she went and took action. And that's exactly what you did. And now maybe she's found a new passion. Maybe she's going to be an excellent guest on Mindfloor and just be like a returning favorite. And
She
so
will be,
mindset, action, passion. Hmm.
and she will be.
Oh.
The questions she was asking yesterday were amazing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm using them for the panel. And I said
Nice.
that
I
to
love
her
it.
on the phone. I said, I took every question you asked in
Hmm.
writing and used it on the panel because they were great questions. And she was like, oh. And I said, yeah. Didn't you notice?
Hmm.
She said, oh, yeah, Carla, you did do that. And I said, think about it for a day or two and then tell me what you want to do. Because
Hmm.
ultimately, Mindblower may be a little more expensive to start, but it is a lot cheaper than the English class long term.
Hmm. There you go. And see, some people, you hit on something else that either consciously or unconsciously. Some people are very externally motivated and some people are very internally motivated. It seems to me that this particular guest was needed that external motivation from you to say you did a great job. I'm so happy you were here. I'm using your questions. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is something so simple that we all can do is just give a compliment, like a genuine compliment to other people because you never know. Maybe they are that externally motivated personality and you could have just made their day by giving them a genuine compliment.
And that's another interesting thing. There's a gentleman that I know
Hmm.
who teaches laughter yoga. I do laughter meditation a little differently. And he has the 7 tips to make it healthy. I forget what he calls it. But one of them is the first one on Monday is compliment someone.
Hmm.
Monday is the day of compliments. And he says, go out and make a compliment someone and see how you feel. And then he looks
Hmm.
for people to come back and say, oh, this happened and that happened because I complimented them. That's how he does his
Hmm.
interaction. And it's so important because once you compliment someone, when it's reality,
Hmm.
the person begins to feel better
Hmm.
and wants
Exactly.
to do the work.
Yes, exactly. And the key that you hit on is it has to be genuine. We're as humans, we're pretty good at sensing when people are just blowing smoke up our butts. And so like it has to be a genuine compliment. You really have to care or like what you're discussing. Don't just make it up to make it up.
Don't say, I love your hair if you don't like it.
Hmm.
If you love
Exactly.
your hairstyle, say it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I want to thank you for coming. We are over the half hour now. We're going on 50 minutes. But I want to thank you for speaking with me. And I want to thank those who watched because this has been an awesome conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you had some fun.
I did have a blast. Thank you, Carla. Anytime. This was awesome. Thank you.
Perhaps we can talk about this on Mindcore.
I think we
Thank
should.
we. I think next week maybe this may be intertwined in in
Okay.
the. I don't know for sure. Don't take me for granted on that. But I want to thank you and everyone who watched. It was a wonderful, wonderful conversation, and I learned a lot from it. And with that, I want to remind you that the show was sponsored by the Institute of Peace, which is an online organization promoting peace, one conversation at a time. And let's wave goodbye. Bye, everyone.